Hey there everyone, it's Brendan here and welcome back to the Crypto Analyst channel. And something big has been happening in the world of crypto lately because over the past 3 months there has been this mystery buyer of Bitcoin who has now managed to accumulate more than $3 billion worth of Bitcoin in the last 3 months. And to put this in perspective, this now makes them the third largest Bitcoin wallet, third only to Binance and Bitfinex. So there's a lot of speculation about who this buyer is. Is it Satoshi secretly accumulating more Bitcoin? Is it BlackRock getting for their ETF? I want to talk about all this in today's video because we actually do have a decent idea of who this could be, and it's probably not who you expect. At least it's not who I was expecting. Now on top of this, we also have JP Morgan saying that there is limited downside in the near term for Bitcoin and most of the altcoin market as well. So I want to dive into their reasoning behind why they believe this might be a good area for crypto to bounce. And finally, Binance is back in the news, and once again, it is not a bullish one because Mastercard and Visa look like they are ending their partnership with Binance. And this is just a continued chain of Binance being in all sorts of regulatory uncertainty, and we're going to kind of expand upon this in today's video as well. So let's start things off with the good news first. Who is this mystery buyer of $3 billion worth of Bitcoin? Is it BlackRock? Do they have some sort of like inside information that their ETF's going to pass or something like that? And the answer here is no. It's not BlackRock. It doesn't appear to be Satoshi. It doesn't appear to be Michael Saylor. In fact, when all this was happening, this did get people a lot of excited because all of a sudden we had this just absolute whale. I don't even think whale is a justified term for $3 billion. Because again, this now makes them one of the largest Bitcoin wallets in existence. And it turns out that according to, I believe it was Arkham, this is looking like, so according to Arkham, this is looking like it's a Robinhood account. And so it's labeled as Robinhood Jump Trading Custody. So if this information from Arkham is right, this means that this over $3 billion wallet is a Robinhood account. Now, this is a little bit surprising to me because if you think that it's going to be a big player like Robinhood, that they wouldn't put all of their funds into a single wallet. I mean, that's simple security 101 is that if you have billions and billions of dollars worth of anything, you don't put it all in one place because, what happens if a hack happens? What happens if someone gets your private information? What happens if someone knows where it is? We're not just talking about like just inside of the world of crypto here. If you have billions of dollars worth of assets, it doesn't matter what asset it is, you're not putting it all in one place. So if it is Robinhood, it makes me a little bit nervous that they would do this. But if it isn't, that raises an even bigger question about who this person is. So as of right now, we're led to believe that this new massive whale of Bitcoin is appearing to be Robinhood. And my only fear here is that they're keeping all their Bitcoin in one wallet. Maybe it's not all of it. I would assume this has to be a large chunk of their Bitcoin. Now, if this was coming out and it was like, hey, they have $100 million in Bitcoin in this wallet, I'd be like, okay, they probably have more wallets because that doesn't make sense if that was all of their Bitcoin. Something wouldn't be right. But $3 billion, that could easily be like 99% of their Bitcoin, and I would believe it. So a little bit of an interesting article that's been floating around lately. I was one of those people who was kind of like feeding into the conspiracy of saying, hey, maybe this is someone that knows that the ETFs are going to get approved, but it doesn't look like that is going to be the case, at least not as of right now with the information that we know. So kind of continuing on this theme of bullishness, JP Morgan has kind of come out and publicly stated that they see limited downside at the current price of Bitcoin. Now, why is this? Well, if you remember last week, we had this big liquidation fest and open interest fell off a cliff. And so with this happening, they're pretty much saying, hey, this looks like a short-term bottom. And the downside here is a lot less likely than this upside moves. So they're looking at past data and historical data and what this kind of move with open interest means for Bitcoin. And they're basically saying, hey, in the short term, we're not really too nervous about Bitcoin tanking anymore. And this seems to be a pretty solid point for Bitcoin to kind of hold on to. Now, this makes a lot of sense because if we go back to Bitcoin's chart, you'll remember that we've talked about this $25,000 support area. That has been this massive, historic, very, very important area for Bitcoin, going all the way back to the Terra Luna / UST crash. And so that is when this support line was really tested for the first time, is when Bitcoin bounced about 30% upwards from that Terra Luna and UST crash. Now, as soon as it broke and was tested as resistance, Bitcoin sold off both times. Again, not once, but actually twice here. It sold off about 30% to the downside both times. Now, since we have broken back above this support, Bitcoin's been testing the 25K area as a support already. It's already done it once this year, and we're now coming down for the second time over here. So again, this is a really big, important area for Bitcoin to be holding, not only technically, but it looks like fundamentally we have like analysts and big names like JP Morgan saying, hey, this is a decent spot for Bitcoin to see some short-term relief. And so far, that's exactly what we're seeing. Now, in the final bit of our news here, Mastercard and Visa are pretty much ending their services or their partnership with Binance, whatever we want to call this. And truth be told, I don't see this as a massive loss, because all this really has to do with is the card services that they were providing. So about a year and a half, 2-3 years ago, it became really big for every mainstream centralized exchange to put out their card, right? You had the Crypto.com card, you had the Binance card, I want to say even Coinbase had a card. Everyone wanted to have a card of sorts. And Binance was no exception to that rule. And so with all the regulatory trouble that Binance has been getting in, if you haven't been following this story, Binance has pretty much been pushed out of the States, and even abroad, there's a lot of countries kind of giving them some hate. But with this, Visa and MasterCard are saying, hey, we got to step back for now. Maybe once all this stuff gets cleared up, we'll be able to come back and work together. But in the short term, there's a growing number of companies and even countries that kind of want to separate ties with Binance until everything blows over. Because I think a lot of these people have a bit of PTSD from what we have seen over the past year and a half of this bear market. It's shown that really no one can be trusted, because FTX and Terra Luna and UST were some of the biggest names in crypto that people really did believe and trust in, and all three of those projects failed. And so a lot of people do have PTSD or a form of it, thinking like, hey, if these big names can fail, why can't another big name like Binance fail? And they're not half wrong. Personally, I don't believe Binance is going to fail. I think they're going to make it through this, but they are seeing quite a bit of heat right now, and it's putting them in a tough position. So that's going to go ahead and round us out for today's video, everyone. I hope this information was found useful. I hope this was able to help you out, at least with the whole Bitcoin wallet stuff that was happening too, because I saw a lot of misconceptions floating around about who this could be. Even I kind of bought into it, saying, hey, maybe something's happening behind the scenes that we don't know about, and it could be the case. But for right now, it seems to just be a new Robinhood wallet, and for whatever reason, they have this new wallet full of Bitcoin. So I appreciate everyone coming in here and watching. If you did like the video, all that I ask is that you hit the like button, you hit the subscribe button, and you tune into the Crypto 101 channel, because I used to make 2 videos a week over here, but now I do 2 videos a week, and I do 1 video on Friday on the Crypto Analyst channel and 1 video on Wednesdays on the Crypto 101 channel. So if you still want 2 videos a week, head over there, hit the subscribe button over there too, and I appreciate everyone watching. So I'll see all of you next Wednesday.